welcome to the Chase That Decides, live from the National Tally Room here in Canberra on the eve of the federal election.
Yes, just 2 days to go now before Australia goes to the polls in what will surely be the most important vote we cast all year. After Australian Idol, of course.
Sure, and finally we are starting to see a real trend emerge in the polls with a massive climb there for the don't care vote. And in fact, based on the results of my own private phone polling, which I conducted at 3 a.m. this morning, there's also increases for do you know what time it is? If you call again, I'll ring the police. And Warnie, is that you, pet?
Yeah, well, I mean, the polls are all over the place at the moment. You know, who do you believe? Yeah. You know, Morgan's got Labor ahead, News Poll's tipping the coalition, while Malcolm Mackerras is backing a Democrats' landslide.
Well, with the contest poised on a knife edge, both major parties have spent their final week of the campaign targeting the elderly.
Yes, traditionally Liberal heartland, of course, given most stage voters tend to empathise with Howard as an imminent retiree. But Labor pulled a real surprise with this Medicare gold.
Oh, yeah.
I think they know if they want to win this election, they're going to have to get that grey vote in certain key marginals.
Well, that's exactly right, Chris. In fact, if we have a look at a seat like Richmond, for example, a home to quite a large elderly population, and in fact, as that population's continued to age, we have seen a significant softening in the Labor vote. But Labor's promise this week to list Viagra on the PBS should, on my projections, considerably improve their standing.
But what other policies does Labor need to woo the nation's elderly? We polled some senior citizens on behalf of the ALP to find out what it would take to win their vote.
Now, Labor's obviously trying to woo what they call the grey vote for seniors, and they've got a few other ideas for other policies to try and win over the grey vote. We just wanted to see what you think of them and how they're going to play. Is that all right?
Yeah.
OK. Get the Becks and get it paid for by the PBS.
Well, I wouldn't be happy with that because a hell of a lot of people don't want to go and work, you know, they just want to drag on.
Right, OK. Well, no loud music policy. What do you think of that? Do you think that would win the grey vote for Labor?
Certainly.
Yeah?
Because many people at 11 o'clock, they have to sleep.
I would support that 100%.
It's awful. It's not music, really.
Yeah, well...
Just noise.
What sort of penalties do you think there should be if that legislation
Oh, I'd
was
say
breached?
6 months jail.
Now, what about a national 10-kilometre speed limit? The cut down on all those 30-kilometre-an-hour hoons.
Beautiful.
Good idea?
Very good idea.
Well, I think they might as well get the horse and car again. They're going to do that.
And I'd get rid of the cyclists while they're at it.
Are there any other thoughts that you've got on policies you'd like to see Labor introduce?
I'm not mad on cargo pants.
Right.
They look like thugs, half these people.
Sure. Any other things you'd like to see?
Rings through noses and lips.
Yep. OK.
All should be banned.
Sure. Do you think they should be taxed or just banned completely?
Oh, I think the people should be put out on some sort of rehabilitation place.
Right, OK.
Away from the decent members of society.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, it's going to be a very busy first term, isn't it?
Some hot tips for the Labor Party there, helping them protect old-growth people, not just old-growth forests.
And let's face it, they're going to need all the help they can get after coalition fortunes were massively boosted this week by the arrival of a new boat on our doorstep carrying hundreds of high interest rates.
It's incredible timing for the government. It's dominated the headlines all this week in both the Murdoch and the Fairfax press. And unsurprisingly, it's playing very well for Howard.
It is. And I mean, look, I was initially quite sceptical when I first heard these reports. But then when I saw the photos from both on board the freighter's deck and then earlier, just before they were rescued, well, then I started to sit up and take notice.
Well, that's exactly right. And I mean, these are government photos, so there's no reason to doubt them.
No.
Exactly. And despite growing international pressure to let the fiscal cargo ashore, the government's held firm, defending its tough stance.
They're not coming to the Australian mainland.
There is no way they will be coming onto the mainland.
They will not be welcome in the mainland of Australia.
An unwavering line that I decided to take up personally with Attorney General Philip Ruddock.
Do you stand by a position that you decide what interest rates come to this country and the circumstances in which they come?
We stand by border protection arrangements that are
Border protection, particularly in the case of interest rates?
Let me just say, we have kept boats out.
You've kept the boats out?
We've kept boats out.
Are you concerned under Labor they would let them in? They'd let the interest rate boat in, do you think?
I'm concerned that under Labor you'd be paying higher interest rates on your boat. Yeah.
Because of the boat, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, more on this unfolding story when we return. You're watching The Chase That Decides.
Look out for the Liberal Party Pork Thunders. Your chance to share in our $25 million surplus bonanza. And all this month, we're celebrating Shocktober.
Yeah, Damo here in the Port Thunder. As far as Shocktober, we got heaps of free scare tactics to give away. So come on down and grab yourself a raised terror warning, stacks of updated travel alerts, or one of these alarming photos of a refugee boat heading for our shores. That's the Liberal Party Port Thunder, just about the only vehicle on the road you can trust not to be a car bomb.
Pork Thunders, cruising the streets until the election for Shocktober.
Labor faithful, stop what you're doing. Are you organising a party function? Then you need the all-new Wheel Out Whitlam. It's the perfect addition to any LP event. The Wheel Out Whitlam's guaranteed to boost photo opportunities, adding credibility to campaign launches, book signings and fundraisers. Pull the string to hear an instant Whitlam endorsement. Like, this candidate's nearly as good as I was. I mentored him personally. Or the recurring classic, I was robbed in 1975. So don't rely on the new guard to attract the voters. Invest in the Wheel Out Whitlam today. At only $19.75, this is one Whitlam that you'd be mad to dismiss.
Welcome back to the national tally.
I tell you what, Craig, those Wheel Out Whitlams have really taken off. Philip Adams was telling me that he has wine and cheese with his one every night of the week. I think they like to argue over who started the Australian film industry.
Yeah, well, I blame them both. Oh, look, no, that's nothing. Bob McMullen's so used to his Whitlam, he's confusing it for the real thing.
Hi, guys.
See you, mate. And look, I think that's not a bad thing. Anything at all that can help you with your media profile, I'm all for that. And frankly, the one person that could really use some better media training is Tony Abbott.
Well, certainly every time we've tried to talk to Tony, he's been at a total loss for words.
I think he's run out of ideas. People are very worried about this one.
So you're remaining tight-lipped. I'm taking this as a fact that you're going to let the vote land.
John could be deputy. What do you think? Sounds like strong support.
If you don't say anything, that means you want me to get rid of the rodent.
Yes, I've always thought complete silence was an odd approach in an interview, you know, but, I mean, maybe in Tony's case, though, it's actually preferable to what happens when he actually talks.
Tony Abbott, on another matter, have you met Archbishop Pell during the election campaign?
Not that I can recall.
Not that you can recall, because we believe that you've had at least one meeting with him quite recently.
Well,
you don't recall that? At the Presbytery in Sydney?
Actually, now that you mention it, I did meet with Cardinal Pell. So what? Why shouldn't I meet with Cardinal Pell?
Well, look, just in defence of Tony there, who can remember something that happened as far back as 2 weeks ago? And frankly, George Pell's not a particularly memorable person.
Yeah, but I bet Abbott won't be forgetting Tony Jones too quickly, judging by the death stare that he gave him once the interview was over.
Tony Abbott will have to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thanks.
I'm glad it was Tony in the seat and not me.
Oh, you know, but by his own admission in that interview, he is an imperfect Catholic.
Very imperfect, I would have said.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think he's a man crying out for spiritual guidance, that guy, you know.
So I thought I'd give him some, in the guise he knows best.
Tony, come so you can give penance here today. I've come from the Cardinal, Pell. He's very insulted you forgot his meeting. How many days has it been since your last confession, Tony? Are you offering up a silent prayer, Tony? I tell you what, let's take a photo so you can remember this meeting. I know you forget meetings with archbishops. Let's get a photo. Smile, Tony.
Well, he's back to the old silence routine. At least he's learned something then.
Well, don't speak so soon, because 10 minutes later, I talked to Tony Abbott again.
Great to have